Like I was saying, I do not know what comes into your mind when you hear the word mastery. But it's possible that you might be thinking about getting so good at something to the extent that it becomes second nature to you. You've seen masters. I think yesterday we gave an example of someone who is so good at his work that you just get there, the person looks at the car, tells you to spark once, you spark, the person says, oh, this is the problem, goes in, go and touch something, comes back, and the car is working. And we say this person is a master, he's so good at his work. We can talk about the carpenter who is so good at his work that to the extent that when he's doing the work, it seems as if the tool that he's holding is a part of his hand. Then you see that this person has gained mastery in what he's doing. He's so good at it. It has become second nature. And you cannot say you're a master until you've reached a stage where you become not just someone who knows the job, but someone who can play around the rules of the game. Where you can break rules and still things work because you know and understand what you are doing to the extent that you can alter things. You get what I'm trying to say? How can we reach this mastery? Most of the time when we see people whom we call masters, we wonder that, oh, maybe it's a talent, the person is so skillful. But we forget that perhaps the person has also passed through certain stages before reaching that mastery. No matter how much talented you are, your talent doesn't make you a master. Mastery has to pass through a particular stage. Even at the workplace, sometimes somebody can be so good, but no matter how good he is, the boss would be better because the boss might have gained mastery. When I speak of mastery, I'm not talking about skills, I'm talking about something more than that. Once again, I introduce to you Who Do I Marry? 35 Cities by Evangelist Philip Kofi. A very powerful book, biblical lessons, and a lot of practical examples in the form of stories. If you want it, you can get in touch with me and I'll connect you. He will come and he will deliver the book to you. That's it. So we just take your location, make arrangements, send the book to you. And the cost is still 35 cities, no matter whether he delivers it or not. Or you go there. Okay, so mastery is the ultimate power. It's where everyone wants to reach. You want to reach a point at your workplace or where you are not just skillful at what you do, but you become someone who can break the rules, someone who can work around the things that you are working with. And people will revere you and see you as if you become a god in your field. Everyone holds his fortune in his own hands. Like a sculptor, the raw material he will fashion into a figure. But it's the same with that type of artistic activity as with all others. We are merely born with the capability to do it. The skill to mold the material into what we want must be learned and attentively cultivated. So all of us have skills. We have something inside of us. But it's like raw materials in our hands. We have to work on it so that we want to cultivate it to become a finished product. And we are now going to look at the steps or what we have to do or which process or procedure we have to pass through as individuals to reach that position where that raw materials become a finished product, where we become masters at what we do. Go ahead. The first thing is for you to discover your calling, your life's task. What do I mean by that? Discovering your calling or your life's task. I'm trying to say that every one of us have certain inclinations, things that we are inclined to right from the time we're children. And unfortunately, we lose it. We lose that inclination. Why? Because we become, our attentions are pulled away from who we really are. Maybe when you're a child, we're interested in certain things, but as you are growing, then you'll be hearing things from parents and relatives and other things, and it drowns that voice inside of you. It covers it. That noise from the outside enters you, and it changes your mentality, and you lose hold of that life calling. There was a man called Leonardo da Vinci. I'm sure all of us have at least heard the name Leonardo, a great man, very, very talented. He was born to Pietro da Vinci, who was an aristocrat, a nobleman. But because Leonardo was born illegitimately, he was born as out of wedlock, so he was a bastard. So because of that, the advantages he could have gained from being a noble wasn't there. So whereas others who were nobles were taken to school for long periods of time to study things, Leonardo got only very little education because he was just a noble's son, but he wasn't really considered as legitimate. Leonardo realized that right from childhood was very interested in going into the forest, and he just noticed everything into details. We started seeing that he noticed everything into details. He sees a flower and asks himself, how did this flower get to this particular stage? He sees the way the river flows, he just watches the rocks, the way they are. It was interesting to him. So one day, he went into his father's shop. His father was a notary. He used a lot of papers to write things and all that, to print things and this kind of thing. So he went to steal some of the papers. It was very difficult to get papers in those times. It's not now that we are just putting the data. So he went to steal some of the papers, went to the forest, took a pencil, and started sketching. He sees something, he sketches. He was pulled there, and he was making beautiful sketches. As time went on, he was sent to an apprentice because he noticed that talent in him, called Verrocchio. And even at the apprentice shop, Leonardo was extraordinarily skilled amongst them. They were given, in those times, they were given tasks to do. You do this task, you do that task. And Leonardo went beyond, paying attention to everything, into details, drawing, to the extent that some of his sketches were extraordinary. For instance, everyone was doing the same kind of thing. Maybe they didn't know how to draw angel wings very well, so they just tried to do something like bird wings. Leonardo was like, why is it that we draw it like that? Why can't we make it as if the wings were part of the angel? But the way they drew it in those times was that they drew it, and you see that the wings are separate from the angel. You can still see the connection. But he was feeling that if angels have wings, then the wings, just like the way birds have wings, it should be part. You should draw it in such a way that it feel as if it's inside the angel's body. So Leonardo started studying birds, the way their wings went in. He started using that to reproduce. And the sketches changed altogether. He said angels have a brighter, they have that glory on them. We understand that, but why can't we say that we cannot create that glory when we draw them or sketch them? Leonardo went to the church, he looked at people who, like, when someone is a saint, or that kind of glow in a person's face. He studied it and reproduced it in his sketches. That was how good Leonardo was. He invented things because he was curious. Leonardo later on was given a task, because he was very talented, to build a big sculpture. And Leonardo just, first of all, took time, made a clay replica of that sculpture. And later on, he was trying to build a sculpture. So in those days, when they're building big sculptures, they did it in parts. You build this part, build that part, build it, you join them together. Leonardo wanted to build everything together. So he first used clay, because he wanted to test a new idea before he use a brass or cast to do it. But he wasted a lot of time, because he was trying to get a perfect thing. And because of that, by the time he wanted to start the project, the one who gave the project said that there's war, so he wants to use all the brass to do something else for the war, to create weapons. So he wasn't able to do the project. And Michelangelo and the others were laughing at him that they've given you projects to do. You know Michelangelo? They are contemporaries, they're very competitive in those times. Yeah, look at what you did. Look at them. He liked teasing each other and all those kind of things. We're actually rivals. But Leonardo didn't really care, because he has learned a new way of doing things. And he knows that another opportunity, a great opportunity, will open up. He could have just rushed and said, let me just do it out. But Leonardo was someone who had a hidden force inside of him. And he followed that call. I don't know if you get where I'm coming from. We are all guided by a sense of destiny, like I was saying. We have something inside of us that we are drawn. When we are children, that was the best time you can discover whom a person is. Because children are different children are those different. As they start growing 3 years, 4 years, so the child likes breaking things, doing something, and that child also likes doing this. He wants to draw, he wants to picture things. That is when you realize that this is the child's talent. But unfortunately, maybe your parents or the outside society, they have certain views that, visual as I did. Visual as for the moment was school no way. You see where we come from. So a child is very good at it, and that's where he can be a master and make money. But you want to force the child to become a lawyer, or something that you want. And the person will never gain satisfaction in life because he didn't follow his true life task. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about mastery. A master would have to first of all follow his true life task. He has to be guided by a sense of destiny. He has to reconnect to his uniqueness. There's something unique about every one of us. Connect to that uniqueness, that special part of you. It's not too late. Sometimes you might even have forgotten it, but try to remember into your childhood what kind of things were you much interested in. Try to reconnect. For now, you've heard so much noise that it has drowned that thing, it has disappeared. But that is what you can actually do the best in. We now see work as a means to an end. But work is not a means to an end, because we spend most of our time at work. We now see work as a means of an end, such that we see work as I work, I get money, and I use that money for what I get pleasure in. So I'm working to get money to buy a car, build a house, do these projects. So the work is a tedious thing that we're not really enjoying. But we use the work to get the end, which is the pleasure we want. And it's an unfortunate thing. The work should be where you get the pleasure in. The other things are not really, because work is what defines you. You get where I'm coming from? But we live in a world that work has become a means to an end and not the end itself. Vocation. When we hear the word vocation, it's used again and again and again. And we ask, what is vocation? Vocation means, we started using vocation in the religious sphere first, before it became the local sphere. In the religious sphere, when you say vocation, it means vocal, a calling, a voice that you hear. When I call you, hear it. So a person's vocation is what, when we say you have a calling on you, that means what? That was where it was started used. We started using it. So you say, oh, this person has a vocation of being a pastor. That was where it started using in religion. And the first vocation means God has called you, heard the call. Every person has a calling. And that calling, it started from the time you were a child, and you were hearing that voice. The same voice that led Leonardo da Vinci into the forest. That led him to be thinking about things in a particular way. That led him to change his perception on angels' wings. That led him to want to build things in a particular fashion. If you follow that voice, it will keep on speaking to you. But if you stray and go to another thing, you will not hear that voice anymore. So you start doing things in your another way. So if you find yourself in a field that you are not hearing, that means you are not in your vocation. Because vocation is a calling. And so far as you follow that life path, which is your calling, you keep on hearing things, and you start changing things. You start becoming extraordinary, because you'll be hearing that voice. That voice will keep on speaking to you again and again. Where at each step that you get, you have to find your niche. What's your niche? That specific point, even in your calling, where you are perfect, where you are so good at. That niche is something that strikes a childlike wonder in you. Is there something that when you do, you feel like a child? I don't know how to do it. Like you know, when a child is doing something, so excited about it. You can do it and give it for free stuff. Like you don't care, you just love doing this thing. And whenever you find yourself doing that thing, like you are just so happy doing it, and you become so funny. Like when people watch you from the outside, say, "I don't like behaving like." That is where your calling really is. That thing that triggers that childlike behavior and wonder in you, as if you are so excited and so happy that you don't know, like you just want to do it. You are happy. You have so much zeal and wonder, and it just excites you. That is where your niche is. What is a niche? You know what ecology is, right? Ecology, a niche is the perfect place for a particular organism to stay, because all the conditions there satisfy the organism. So the perfect niche excites you. Learn who you really are. You have to have a purpose in life. It's not easy. It's not easy to follow your calling. Why? Because people will say things. People will drown you. See, you probably can become a doctor. Or why do you don't do this kind of things in this family? You want to do something, you want to become a carpenter. Upon all the education you've passed through. You get where I'm coming from. So people resources to maybe you don't have the money to get there. You don't have the needed resources. It can be your mistakes. You could have made mistakes in the past that are affecting your calling now. Because of those mistakes, you cannot really get certain chances. It cuts off your options. But all those things will come and fight you on your way to purpose and mastery. But you should never let those things pull you down. But discover your purpose. You should have a purpose. So we are looking at strategies for finding your life's task. Very important. What are some of the strategies? The first strategy is the primal inclination strategy. returning to your origin. Let's look at people like Albert Einstein. He who returned to his origin. When Einstein was a child, his father bought a compass for him. And he was so excited by the whole compass thing, to the extent that he just was looking at the compass. How could the compass be working this way? You just pray this and you change that what is inside. There's an hidden force in the compass. So you realize that all the discoveries that Einstein made were about hidden things. He returned to his origin every time. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. Where he came from. What excited him. And that was the motivation in everything that Einstein did. So you ask yourself, what is your calling? What is that origin? That thing that in your childhood took you so much you became so obsessed with it. If you always return to that origin, it will always incite you to make things happen. That's the primal. Primal means it's inside of you, part of your nature. That's a primate. Then you can talk about Marie Curie, whose father was a scientist. And you was seeing how the father was using the chemicals. She was interested in chemicals. She just come and stand there and watch. She was just interested. So that was the origin in the discovery of that particular element that she discovered. You get where I'm coming from. You talk about Ingmar Bergman, who when he was a child, he had an older brother. The father bought gifts for them. The father gave him his gifts and the brother another gifts. But the brother's gift was a photo camera. You remember that when we were children, you open this and that picture will come. Yes, that was what the brother got. And he liked it. So he went to give all his gifts and even some of his old gifts to his brother. So his brother was giving that one gift. And he was so obsessed, he was looking, he just was wondering, what is it about this thing? How does this work that way? Like, it just excited him. And he became one of the greatest cinematographers in the world. Because he returns to that origin again and again. 2, occupy the perfect niche, the Darwinian strategy. What I mean here is about this guy who studied different courses. He realized that he was a very curious guy. He liked to do things, he liked to make things happen. He was forced to go to medical school. This medical school thing they're talking about, it doesn't really fit into my thing. He finished medical school, he just stopped the medical school in the middle, went to psychology school, he was interested in it. Went to neuroscience school, he was interested in it too. But he realized that still what I want, I didn't get. So after all that, he realized that he combined all the things that he has done in medicine, in neuroscience, in psychology, and he was able to get interested in phantom limbs. You know phantom, when somebody has an amputation, that limb, that prosthesis they put on. And he combined all his skills in those areas, and he realized that this is what I want to do. You hear where I'm coming from? So you have to, even after studying all the various things you study, you have to narrow it down to something. That's perfect niche. That place, for instance, even in medicine, we have different fields. So you go to internal medicine, you do gynecology, you do this. And you realize that this is my perfect niche. I like gynecology. Or no, I like surgery. And even at the surgery, we have different things. We have ENT, ear, nose, and throat. We have general surgery itself, ophthalmology, different physiology, orthopedics. So maybe you'll be doing all those things, you realize that no, this is where I like all the other, but this one there seems as if it makes me crazy. That is your perfect niche. The subset where you can, and it's better that way because if you're in the general field, there's more competition. But when you separate yourself the perfect niche and you master it and you specialize there, it's easier for you to stand out and make exploits. You see where I'm coming from? Avoid the false path, the rebellion strategy. Mozart. Mozart is one of the greatest musicians. He is a composer. And Mozart, right from the time he was a child, his little sister was about 7 years when he started learning the piano. And Mozart said, no, I will learn piano too. After then he was 3 years. So when he was 4 years, the father made him start learning, and he was good. He was just playing things. So the father was using him. He would take him and his little sister, because they were children, they were wonder. He would say, and people say, how can children play this kind of? So people were paying him, and the father was making money out of them. So as time goes on, the father wanted to carve the path that he wanted for Mozart, because he was using Mozart to make money. And Mozart on the way realized that no, I don't just want to be used as a showboy. I don't just want to play music that other people have played. I want to compose music. And if I remain in this particular niche, I cannot get there. So Mozart had to silently and tell his father that, Daddy, I want to do this. And the father was not so happy about it. So because of that, Mozart still had to go. He had to rebel. Otherwise, if he had not rebelled, he would not reach where he wanted to. He would never have had the wonderful music and skills that we have from Mozart if he had not rebelled or avoided a false path that was being carved for him. Do you know where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Then let's go of the past, the adaptation strategy. Freddie Roach. Freddie Roach was a boxer. And he was doing very well. But I realized that he had some weaknesses in boxing that were affecting his performance. He was very good. But later, somewhere in the middle of his profession, he realized that, he goes into the field, he has been taught to do something, but when he goes there, maybe somebody gives him a dangerous point that annoys him, then he gets emotional. He gets emotional and starts doing what he's supposed to do. He loses sense, and he realizes it was his weakness. So he had to stop boxing on his own because a time came where he was losing so many matches. So he just had to step out, started business, went for some time, but it wasn't his path. Until Freddie Roach realized that, I'm very good at coaching. So he maybe had that attachment to his boxing life. He wish he could go back there. He realized that, but he had to adapt and let go of that past. He realized that under the boxing, he realized that he is very skillful at teaching people, observing them how they do things. He was one who trained. What's the name? He has trained many people. I've forgotten the name of some of those he has trained. You have to find your way back. The life and death strategy. Find your way back. The life and death strategy. Buckminster Fuller. Buckminster Fuller was very, very talented. He was doing well in business and all other things. But there was a time that he started failing continuously to the extent that he realized that he has failed his wife and kids. So he said, I'm going to kill myself. So he was walking towards the river. I'm summarizing the story as much as because I want us to just finish. Walking towards the river to go and drown himself, and he heard a voice talking to him that you don't belong to yourself. You have to learn from a mistake. Like the way the wording came to him, it was shocking. You have to learn from your lessons that you don't belong to yourself. You belong to the universe. And whatever mistakes you are making or what you are missing, it's a chance for you to make things happen in a positive way because you are talented. And the guy just left off and turned his back and said, no, I'll make it. He was able to create companies and invent things and make things happen because of that particular finding his way back. Because he realized that this is a matter of life and death. He cannot miss it. Okay. There's a reversal. Do you understand reversal?
Yeah.
You have to consider something else. There's a woman called Temple Grandin. Some of us we didn't get a chance to have that clear, because maybe of a disease or a condition or family situation, you didn't get a chance to have that clear calling, something that we are moved towards. Temple Grandin was born autistic. Even her learning skills were bad. She couldn't study. So her mother gave up on her. He sent her to language school, therapy school, and all those things, and she was able to learn. But she couldn't compete with others because she saw things only in images. So when she wants to talk about something, she only has to see the image. Not like she couldn't think in the abstract. So it made it difficult for her to fix in with all others. But one thing is that Temple Grandin saw her strengths. She saw that she was very good with her hands, small things, sewing, carpentry, so those kind of things. And she also saw that she was very good with animals. She could actually communicate with animals. And she mastered those two aspects of her life. And she became a great professor and a great inventor of various things by the time she was old. You know, some of us do not have that opportunity, but you are good at small things. Don't let somebody bring that, because when you are like that, usually if you're in a family and everybody is doing well, you alone, you're not back, you have to identify, because God didn't leave anyone out. Identify those small things. Those are the things that will bring you to greatness. You combine them and you become so good at them. You don't have to have that feeling calling of greatness. It's not everyone who has that. But those small things that you are good at, identify them, master them, do them. By the time you realize you even pass those, that's how the great calling. You get where I'm coming from? Because those that have great quality usually lack discipline. They're talented people. They feel like, oh, I can do it. But when you're not talented, it pushes you. When you're not so good at big things and you are good at small things, it pushes you to, you don't become complacent easily. Because I have to try to make things happen. I guess where I'm coming from. So you have the added advantage of focus and discipline, which comes easier to you. So no one is left out when it comes to identifying your life task and your calling. The first thing is apprenticeship stage. No one can become a master without becoming an apprentice. No matter how skillful you are, no matter how talented you are, if you want to become a master, then you have to become an apprentice. That is what most people don't like. Because those people are not, the humility to apprentice, you feel as if apprentice like you feel as if like you're going to submit too much to someone, or it's going to take too long a point in time. But apprenticeship is necessary. Let's see why. Okay, let me just skip this story. We can connect in later on. The apprenticeship stage is like metamorphosis. It's like a way a butterfly transforms from a caterpillar to a butterfly. It takes steps. The first stage is, okay, I can now personalize it because I'm an apprentice. Okay, you have entered the medical field. You are now at surgery. The first time you enter, you are learning what is happening around. You don't know focal. All you know is book. Oh, appendix, you cut here, you do this. But you've never done something before. So the first thing you have to is a passive mode. You just stand behind me watching the master. Leona, you understand what I'm saying? You've been there before. You'll be watching the master. Deep observation. You just be watching the master. You see how the master holds you see, I see how my boss is holding the scalpel, the way he cuts, you'll be watching the way he does the suturing, where he goes, what he does, and you'll be watching. That's a deep observation. You can't mess up here. Because you enter any skill with your own, any particular field with your own preconceived notions. You have your own point of view. But that's not it. Learn what you see. As you enter, be like a child. That's why it's very easy for children to learn things. Because they are bounding themselves into the whole thing. And they let things take them. So be like a child, observe deeply. That's the passive mode. Then now go into the practice mode. Because I remember I went to theater one day with my boss. Every day, I was observing. He just finished and said, come in. He said, you are switching today. Yeah. It's funny. He said, you are the one switching. I said, hey, how can I switch? Because when in the middle of the surgery, so I was not thinking in my mind, how can I switch? But I just hold it. Then because of the way I've observed already, I was trying to imitate. The way you can learn is through imitation. Yeah. So because I've watched, it has started affecting my mind. So I was now imitating. I was in the practice mode. Then now you reach a stage where you now become good at the practice. You now can practice, you can do, but now you start experimenting. What if I try this particular way? Okay, I put it here. You start learning new skills and you start becoming better. That is the 3 stages of apprenticeship. I'll go into every one of them a little bit. So what are the strategies for accomplishing the ideal apprenticeship? Value learning over money. Benjamin Franklin. Let me use Benjamin Franklin's story. Benjamin Franklin was, you know Benjamin Franklin, right? He came from a particular field. His father was quite a lot, had money, and his father's job was quite lucrative. So his father expected that my son will come and join this job in apprentice. But Benjamin didn't have any interest in his father's job. He decided that I want to go into my uncle's job. That's what I'm interested, which was printing. And Benjamin didn't join printing because he was interested in printing. He wanted to learn how to. He was a writer and he was good at writing. So he wanted to write. So he wanted to join printing so that he would be reading people's work and getting a lot of emotion, like editing, and that's why he wanted to join printing. And his father said, hey, printing, that field is a dangerous field. Though. It can fail you easily. You can lose. It's a win or lose field. My field is good. Benjamin said, no. He said, okay, go and learn your lesson. But Benjamin knew what he was doing. His father's job or whatever his father was doing could give him more money. And the printing he was doing would not give him that much money. But he was valuing learning over money. That's the mistake most young people make. We are always thinking about money to the extent that we now grow, we cannot become masters. We cannot become extraordinary in any way. We just follow the money to the extent that now better people come, we just remove it from there. Because when you follow money, the time will come that after 5-10 years, the person you not be useful to a person anymore. The person can get cheap labor somewhere else. There are so many things that will go against because there's nothing special about you. I'm just giving you money and this thing. It can change you. You don't even gain respect because there's nothing special about you. So you are going to the path of easy resistance less resistance, you think that that's the best. It's a matter of time. You see where I'm coming from? So value learning over money. Albert Einstein also did the same thing. When he finished school, he had the opportunity of joining various work. Where he joined the work that would give him insight into people's work. People will present their presentation in that particular way for patency. So they will present their presentation on scientific work and that thing. Albert said, this is a job I don't want to present. And he got time because that job, although he wasn't being paid much, he was working a shorter hours, maybe 6 hours in a day. He mastered to even cut down the hours. He was getting less. But based on that, he was able to learn people's scientific work and go and try it. You read a piece, this thing people are doing, when they are not getting it, then he was learning from people's mistakes. And you go home and go and experiment. So it's better if you choose a job that will give you less money for the time being, but more time to build yourself. It's a longer process, but it's better because now you live in an environment that is dangerous. For you to go and chase contract money or go and chase something when you can do something that will even gain you less, but it will give you experience. It even teaches you how to spend less. Money management. Because when you are being paid less, you've planned out, okay, for these 2-3 years, this is what I'm going to do. I'll pay less. And it teaches you how to manage money because you don't have much to live on. You become disciplined. It gives you so many advantages. Value learning over money. Keep expanding your horizon. Zora Hurston. The story is quite long, so I'll just summarize it. Zora was a black woman. She didn't have the opportunity to have schooling as much as other people, but she became like a house girl. Because her parents died and she didn't have anyone. Her mother died and her father didn't want to take care of her. He felt that this girl cried. So he was sent from home to home. And Zora, whichever home Zora went, she started learning the people. A time came that she now started going to white people's homes. And whenever she goes there, she go and do the work clean. She gets a book. They had libraries. White people are those kind of things. The picking books, reading them, learning culture from different backgrounds. Whichever house he went. So she became talented. She became very good at knowledge in terms of knowing about things and people. And one time we went to one person's house and she started learning how to do a particular skill. She then started learning skills about how to place things, how to do it. So they said that she used that skill to gain employment to one of the musical bands in those times because they felt that she's not going to just come to clean. She has skills. She can help. I get where I'm coming from. So she was supposed to get enough money to now educate herself and became one of the greatest black writers in her time. Because she had knowledge. She's been to different houses. Are you getting where I'm coming from? People from different backgrounds, read different books, studied them, know their way of life. So when she was writing, it just was flowing. She was writing so many books within a short period of time because she was loaded. Expand your horizon. Some of us, we like shortcuts too much. Mastery is not shortcut. Revert to a feeling of inferiority. Daniel Everett was a preacher man who was sent to one of the Amazon forests to go and learn their language. When he went there, he was making himself executive. He would sit in the city and try to learn that, what is the word for stick? Okay, they will teach him. What's the word for this? They will teach him. But he was still not getting them because he thinks he's getting, all of a sudden everything changes. He sees that all the rules have changed again. And we will start laughing at him. That, this also means this. It's because people have gone to that same city, that same Amazon. They try to learn a language, they never get it. And they will be frustrated, they will come back home. And one time, they were going to the forest, and Daniel said, I'll go with you. So he went to them and realized that, not knowing I'm wasting my time sitting home. If I want to learn a language, I have to go to the forest with them because their language is part of their culture. If you're able to internalize their culture, if you're able to know how they do things, the language will start naturally. You see where I'm coming from? That's how children are able to learn easy. Because children let themselves go. When people say funny things, you also say it. You see, because they're able to internalize things. But when you're adult, you feel that you know things already. So it's difficult for you because you already have your preconceived notions. You cannot empty your head. So like Daniel Everett, you have to learn how to go to a level of joy whenever you find yourself in a new working place. You know that, tell yourself, I don't know anything. Learn from people. Just open yourself like a child and internalize that. Let it flow into you. Let it flow. Learn. Okay, so any small thing you see, say, so what about this? Don't be shy to ask. Don't feel as if I know. Or don't feel as if what they are doing is lower. Even just learn and build upon it. You see, so you have to learn how to revert to a feeling of inferiority. Trust the process. Trust the process. Cesar Rodriguez was a good military man. He entered the military. He has never failed in anything in life before. Whatever he does well. He entered the military and realized that, when it comes to piloting, he was struggling. And that side, that side, if it was such that if you didn't pass your exams for 1, 2, 3 weeks, they will just sack you from the college. 1 week has passed, he has failed. Hey, what will I do? And then I said, no. I've been a quarterback before. In those times, I struggled and I built myself so I became a very good man. What did I do that made it right for me? Realize that he put himself into it. So he said, okay, I want you to train me. He went to one of the master and said, I want you to train me so that I should do so much for the work that I will be able to do it. Because he was seeing other boys who were so good. It seems as if they were the golden boys there. It's as if when they sit there, but when he sits inside, he'll be trying to do this thing, but all of a sudden it's as if everything is complicated. Hey, I have to do this, I have to shift this too. You see, he said like when I want to learn driving, that kind of thing. I have to shift, I have to do this thing. But he started doing practice, a lot of practice, doing longer practice, 3 times, 10 times more than the other people. By the time he realized he was doing extraordinarily well, and by the time he ended, it was the 3rd best. He was one of the greatest Navy people when it came to American Navy, Air Force. Yeah, I said Navy. Move towards resistance and pain. Some of us like things to be too easy for us. We have to learn how to put ourselves in positions where things are difficult. You are at the workplace. As soon as you see that, this one there, a bedding, you run away from there. Or be at the show this time. Don't do that. When you are the way people are doing that, just take those ones. Take the ones that are difficult. People are running away from. Take those ones. Those are things that will build you. Because you learn, you discipline yourself, you do the difficult ones and you get better. Because human beings are lazy. It's naturally. When you are done, like you prefer to sleep. You prefer to have the easy way out. You prefer to get the easy one and simple one because doing hard work is too draining. It takes too much thinking and too much energy. Why don't I sit back and just relax? But always try to move towards a place where there's resistance, where there's difficulty, the difficult aspects. I remember during my studies, there was this time that we had to go and do a suprapubic catheter. We put it through the top here. And I went to some of my mates, we got there, and they didn't want to do it. Everybody, you were not done before. We were afraid to take that step. We went to stand there for 10, 20 minutes. I said, what are you guys, what do I have to do it? And I followed them. I said, what are you guys doing? Give me this thing, let me do it. So I just put it in, I did it. You know the technique, you know how to do it. It's nothing so extraordinary, but because it's not done, but they were so scared to do it. And I just did it. So it could have been that we would have found another way of doing it. We would say, let's force ourselves, we'll give excuse. And we will never learn that particular skill. Sometimes you have to push yourself to doing something, try. Move the path of resistance, move the path where it's more difficult and do that. That's what will make you stand out from the others. If everybody is saying you're also lazy, what will make you extraordinary? Are you getting where I'm coming from? Apprentice yourself in failure. Ford, that man was a great man. He learned even in failure. He did it again and again and again and again. And he was learning all his lessons. He was learning his lessons that when I did this will happen. I have to separate myself from this people. I have to do this. Learn to do that. When you feel like, I think Job has talked a lot about that, it means that there's another way of doing it. And failure is good. Mistakes are good. Because they make you appreciate your achievements. Someone who just starts and the person does well, the person doesn't know all the mistakes you can possibly make. You see where I'm coming from? It's good. It looks so flashy and all that. But when you make mistakes, don't see that as a disadvantage or something the worst thing that happened to you. But see that's an opportunity that because you've done that mistake and it hurts you, you will never make that mistake again. And you've learned a lesson. You learn valuable lessons. But someone else not made that mistake before. When the person succeeds once, their fall is great. Because they don't know what they don't have to do. But if you've learned it the hard way, now you succeed, then you never repeat those mistakes again. Combine the how and the what. Okay, let's just advance through trial and error. I just want us to move forward. But let's take note of these 2 points too. And advance through trial and error. As in, you should learn how to try and error. Because when you have the chance that when your trial and error will not cause so much damage, you just do it. Maybe you want to do a particular thing, you do it and you fail. Put that one aside. You do it again, you fail. Put that aside. You learn so like the previous one. You learn so much ways of not doing it, and that one will even help you when it comes to the end stage of mastery. You've learned so many different styles, and now you can connect things. You see where I'm coming from? So don't fear failure. It's okay to fail. It's not the end game. Mozart and Einstein, they knew one lesson, that no shortcuts in life. There's no shortcuts in life. You might think that maybe Mozart got it so easy, or Einstein got it so easy, but they worked despite their talents. You know, as Einstein finished school, engineering school, and he was one of the last people on the list in terms of what they call academics. But he was one of the greatest scientists that ever lived. You get where I'm coming from? So there was no shortcut. He made it because he knew that he had to pass through certain things. He didn't value money over learning. He strived. He disciplined himself, and he got there. Mentor dynamics. Number one, what's the mentor dynamic? Let's look at this story, or this thing that we can see here. At the table, the ladies praised the portrait of a young painter. They said this. What is most surprising, they added, he has learned everything by himself. This could be seen particularly in the hand, which were not correctly artistically drawn. That means that he had made a portrait of someone, and the hand wasn't so much perfectly drawn, but it was good. The picture was good. And Goethe told them that the young man has talents. However, you should not praise, but rather blame him for learning everything by himself. A man of talent is not born to be left to himself, but to devote himself to the arts and good masters who will make something of him. No matter how talented you are, you need masters. You need someone who will make you better, because no matter how talented you are, you need someone who will teach you the field, the things that will polish you. So we need mentors. Michael Faraday. Michael Faraday was one of the greatest scientists, especially in the electricity field. He started off not as great as, he started from a very poor family, a very poor background. But he got employment in a particular shop, a library, because he was interested in books. So he said, I want to work here, so I'll be reading the books. He was reading books and other things. And as time went on, he started getting interested in experiments. So he begged his master that let me do a small experiment placed at the back of the library. So he'll be doing experiments and learning. But one interesting thing about Faraday was that he wasn't just learning. He got one of the books in the library that taught him that if you want to be good at something, you have to not just read it, but break it down on your own. Your notes down on your own. So usually when he takes a science book and reads it and sees something, he draws them, or he was very good at this too. He draws them into pictures, label the parts, breaks it down, describe each part. So he was getting very detailed scientific understanding, because everything he just breaks it down into simple form. So one time, a very good scientist came to his master's shop. His master said, "Oh, I have this guy here. He's very, very good. Look at his notes." So he just picked the notes of Faraday and showed this, and he said, "Wow, I want this guy to come and work with me." And that was his first appointment. You see, so some of the things that we do, they open doors for us later. That was his first appointment. And Faraday worked to the extent that wherever he went, he was always following through, learning, like observing everything into details, till he was able to make the discovery, great discoveries in electromagnetism. The first discovery was about how you can make electricity turn things round or move something. That's where we got electric fan and other things from. He was the one who invented them. Okay, so what's the importance of humility? Like I started from the beginning, if you want to be a master, there's the need for humility. You know, it sounds so good for you to criticize people, because it makes you feel superior. Now they think they know everything. Look at what even this guy did, but it makes you feel superior. And we feel as if you succumbing to someone or being under someone is an insult to your ego. But no. Until you are humble, you cannot have a mentor, or you cannot let someone mentor you, because you have to put yourself under the person. Sometimes you even have to endure certain unpleasant things if you want to be mentored. And mentorship is critical if you want to become a master in anything. The mentor-protege dynamic. You know, the thing about mentor-protege is that it creates a relationship and it makes the thing work. Because, you know, the mentor looks at the protege or the person who is a mentee, and they admire them. If you are very humble to them, and they want to help you. Why? Because it's a honor to them themselves that they've created someone who is also that good. But not just that. They see something in you that reminds them of their past. And when they see that you are eager, they help you the more. You see where I'm coming from? Apart from that, the protege also inspires the mentor. He challenged the mentor to become big. And also, apart from that, because the protege is offering help, especially the protege is someone who is offering help for free. Maybe a mentor, and you come every time, you come and clean the room, and you're not really taking money. The mentor feels indebted to you, so he's able to pour things because he feels as if you are advantageous to him. So when he's giving you something, doesn't pain him, but he feels that, oh, at least I'm teaching him, so he gives you more. That is that relationship that comes there. You learn a lot, you internalize the person. That is why you need a mentor. The value of personal interaction. Finding and attracting a mentor. You have to find a mentor that will fit you. You get where I'm coming from? You don't just choose mentors anyhow. You have to look at your niche. You have to look at a person's character. Can you fit in? Is the person someone who will make you practice? You consider all those kind of things before choosing someone to be your mentor. The mentor is a father figure. And one of the dangers of mentor is that usually they don't want to let you go. Like you see in most of the stories. Because they now see that you are advantageous to them, and they start now getting attached to you. And when you want to now go and open your own shop, it becomes a problem. Because they know that if you go, you don't get someone to be picking their things for them, someone to be doing something for them. But like I said, you have to run. A time comes but you live in a very good way. No matter how, but you cannot use their anger at you for leaving as a reason not to leave. Not all mentors are like that, but there are some mentors like that. When it comes to that particular stage, you still have to leave. You cannot stay there forever. But live in a way that at the end of the day is honorable. You know that you did things right and you left on the right note. No matter how they try to threaten you or what. By the time comes when you have to leave, or when you have to establish yourself, you get where I'm coming from. So there's a time to cut the master. When you now realize that you've imbibed all the skills. You're not just in the passive mode where you are deeply looking. You're not just in the practice mode where you are now practicing skillful. You're now in the experimentation mode when you're able to complete the experimentation mode. Where now you see that you are doing things and you're doing it well, you've now mastered the skill. It's become like a third skill for you. Like I said, maybe sewing. You now realize that it seems as if your hand has become like a part of the needle. It just comes to you. Because when we are learning something, there's a part of our mind that's dedicated to it. And neurons start forming that pattern in which you have to learn it. You get where I'm coming from? The neurons in your head start connecting. So during the learning stage, it's difficult. Because it's now connecting. But as soon as you become skillful and good at what you are doing, that part of your brain transfers all the gathered information together into a particular part of your brain now. So now your brain is free to learn something new. That's why it's very good for you to concentrate on one particular skill. Because when you are trying to do 10 things at a time, you want to learn how to do this. It conflicts in your mind because your mind has to concentrate and learn how to make the mistakes, then you master it such that now you are doing it as if you are not even thinking we are doing it. You get where I'm coming from? It's a very, very important aspect when it comes to apprenticeship. When it comes to the apprenticeship and mentoring. So you choose the mentor according to your needs. You have to gaze deeply into the mentor's mirror. That's strategies for deepening the mentor relationship. You have to transfigure the mentor's ideas. What do I mean by that? There was a man called Glenn Gould who was a very good musician. And he would go to his master. He was very good at musicians. He was given to a particular musician who was also a very good musician to mentor him. And one thing about Glenn was that they would give him an assignment, then he would go and come back And when he comes back, he'll be able to do it. At that time, he will just come and say that, no, I don't like doing the thing this way. I want to do it another way. You see where I'm coming from? He sees that he was contradicting his master in terms of this because he had his own mind. I don't know if you get where I'm coming from. He had a mind where he transfigures the master's idea and he judges things. You look at the things, okay. Also, I think, master, I think this is good, but I think this way is better. So the master was like, hey, this guy is good. Like, he was a good musician too. He was a good at the piano and musical instrument. But the way he presented himself was such that the master admired him and he saw that this guy had his own potential. So after Glenn had been very good at musician, as a musician, he started his apprenticeship. The master realized that Glenn was copying all him. The things that Glenn was even saying that, no, I don't like this. He was doing the same things. I don't know if those are the things. So it was like a perfect image of his master. And he reached that conclusion because he didn't just take it yes as a master, but he experimented with other things before he came to that conclusion. So he was good and extra more than his master. So when you are being in the apprenticeship stage or in your listening, you don't have to necessarily follow that straight line. Think, what other ideas are there? Experiment with those ones. That is how you can become better than your masters. But if you just internalize your master's ideas pure, your master will be better than you. Because no matter how much you absorb it, let me take it that you've put sugar here. You've put sugar in different places. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I tell you to pick all of them with a spoon, as much as you can. At the end of the day, there will still be some left on this side. So you cannot get all the sugar. Because on the table, there will be particles of sugar left. So if you are trying to copy your master ditto, you cannot really get the whole picture. But when you try to create other sugar particles, you pick here, you pick a lot of your master's own too. So you become more than your master. So wherever you find yourself apprenticing, although you are learning the skill, if you open yourself as a child, be experimental even just as a child. Explore your master's idea, then you can before you can perfectly transfigure him. You know where I'm coming from. So you have to create a back and forth. Freddie Roach was a coach of Manny Pacquiao. Do you know Manny Pacquiao?
Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, the one who fought what do you call it? Mayweather. Yeah. He was a very, very good boxer. Otherwise, he wouldn't have even got to Mayweather level. And there has to be a back and forth dynamic between the mentor, because when Freddie Roach started mentoring, he was mentoring so many different athletes. And you realize that as soon as they started becoming a little good, they felt as if they don't need him anymore. But Freddie Manny Pacquiao, he's a very humble guy. He didn't let that dynamic die. So he was able to gain a lot from Freddie. To the extent that maybe he had his own view, okay, I think this one you can do that. And Freddie learned a lot from him. You get where I'm coming from? So I'll talk about Benjamin Franklin, the last story, then I just wanted to talk about the fact that when it comes to mastering or becoming a master, the road to mastering, there is still power games. If you don't know how to play those power games, no matter how talented you are, no matter how much you've come to know you've mastered experiment, you don't get where you have to get. People like Nikola Tesla, a great inventor, his name is not really mentioned, and Thomas Edison is always mentioned, because Nikola Tesla wasn't good in power games, and Thomas Edison is one of the greatest power games player. All the inventions I will put to him, some of them are there, they are not him who did it. Tesla was the one who did them. But he always had a way of trying to steal people's inventions. You get where I'm coming from? And he mentioned Thomas Edison. I'm not saying he has invented a lot of things, but he improved his name because he was speaking one of power games. He employ you under him, and you take how it works, because masters always take their apprentice things. And Nikola Tesla wasn't wise enough to pull himself away at the right time. He stayed there till all his ideas wore out and was used. So his name is not known. I think he has only about 1 or 2 inventions to his name. You get what I'm saying? So you have to learn and see people as they are. Social intelligence. Benjamin Franklin Benjamin Franklin, when he joined, I think we talked about him already. So we are come to another dimension of him when it comes to social skills. You know, he became a politician and later American president.
Yeah.
When he joined his brother's printing, his brother's printing press, he was doing well. He was helping and everything. And he's a good writer. But you know, the brother has become so familiar with him that he told his father, brother, I want to write. He said, what is your writing skill? He was looking down. So you know what he did? He turned around and created a character and brought it to his father. So, my brother, this is the woman's name. She says she wants to write for your papers. She's very good. And the brother said, oh, okay, let her write. But the brother has never met a woman before. So when the brother gives letters, she is the one who reads the letters. And he was the one doing the writing. He was saying, this is what the woman brought. You get what I'm saying? So his letters, his letters were being published in another person's name. So one time we became emotional and excited one time at the party. And so the brother, you know, that's all this because they were doing very well with the writing of the woman. The publications were good. He told me, do you know that all this writing I'm writing is me? See, the brother got angry. Human beings. Like he was angry that why are you doing? You know where I'm coming from. Most of the time, your relatives and those close to you are those who will bring you down, because they are those who are most moved to envy. They compare themselves to you. That's one thing you have to be very careful of. The brother got angry with him that, so it became a very, very big rift between him and his brother, until he had to leave the printing press and move on to the next stage of his life. He started working at that printing press. He was doing very well there. There too, he was there working, doing well. All of a sudden, one politician came and said, "Oh, you are very good at printing. Look at what you are doing and all that. I will send you to London and make you big, a big time. Go there. I will sponsor you." I said, "You didn't have much money." So he was excited and just went sent his resignation letter straight. "Oh, I want to resign. I have opportunity at London." So he went to London. He got there. He called the man. He wasn't getting contact. The man said, "Oh, you." And the man told him, "Oh, you wait. Give me 1 week. I will send you money." Hey, you told me to get it. From now. And I think someone's going to tell Benjamin Franklin that, listen, this man, that's how he is. So big talker, he doesn't do anything. So Benjamin saw that he was now moved from US to the UK with nothing on him, no job opportunities. He has been moved because he didn't understand power games and how poll function. You see how important these things are? Yeah. And he was now stuck. So he had to go and find a employment at the printing press and was working there. While there, while Benjamin was there, his colleagues, they like drinking, and Benjamin didn't drink. So they will say, at break time, they will say, everybody should contribute this. So I will go and buy the drinks and drink. Benjamin will say, me, I don't like drinking, I don't support drinking. I will not contribute anything. They say, oh, okay. They didn't talk anything. As time went on, Benjamin realized that when he prints things, by the time he realized the final work, no mistakes in somebody goes and go and type things and change some things and other things. And he goes to ask his colleagues, I printed this thing. They say, oh, there's some ghost in the office. That's exactly what they told me. So there's a ghost in the office that has been coming that trying to change things. Sarcastic language. Yes. And then I realized that, hey, if I don't pay this thing. So you see, you have to know how to, because you have to know how to deal with people. Very, very important. You think you are so wise and you are so smart, they will destroy you. And as soon as they started paying the money, all this work were perfect. So Benjamin has realized that no, I've been a fool. 3 mistakes. I have to learn people skills. And he's one of the greatest politicians that America has. Because from that moment, he realized that there's something more than just skills. He learned from all his lessons. There was one time, I'll just give one of his achievements as in people skills. One politician who he was elected into Congress. Benjamin was elected and he was being nominated again to be elected. And the politician was like, no, I don't like this guy. He's like this because he didn't like his. So after that, he was still able to win. So that means there was enmity between him and the politician. But you know, this politician is a very important politician. I have to get in contact with him and connect with him. So he went to look for what the politician liked. And he realized the politician liked books. So he went to ask the politician, I heard that you are good at books. I just wanted to take this book of yours. And the politician was flattered that somebody has appreciated his work and his selection of books. And since then, they became good friends. You see, those things are important skills that you have to have on Sanu. If you think that, power, I don't like it, you suffer in life, you don't get anywhere. Even Jesus Christ knew how to play those games. He knew what he would say, where he had to say. When he stood in front of Herod, and Herod was asking, he knew why he didn't say what he had to. You know what I'm talking about. You have to be wise. That's why I said, be wise as was serpent. Don't make yourself like me, I don't do this, I'm not saying you should be doing wrong things. Be humble, be principled, be pure, but be wise. Amen. I think I don't want to talk so much. There are other things, I wanted to go into people's skills and all, but I think we've got enough. I have to read people back. We've got enough. God bless you, and we are going to the next step.